Hello everyone, welcome into Deacon's NFL Talk. I'm your host Deacon. Welcome back to another episode on the channel. We've officially made the halfway mark to 150 episodes. This is the 50th episode that I've ever done on this channel. And today is going to be a fun episode. It's not going to be another 45-minute episode, I can guarantee that. We have 8 topics of NFL news, obviously not near as much as we've had the last couple of weeks. After that, we will have 5 or 6 quick hits, somewhere around there. We don't have much. We have a lot of signings and cuts. Actually, we have a lot more signings than we have cuts. We have like three and a half pages of signings. And we also have actually like 5 cuts. So there really wasn't a whole lot of cuts this week. Then we have a retirement reaction. This is a segment we're doing back-to-back weeks because there was retirement this week. And there was a highlight from this player that I experienced that I remember most about this player. Then we have the quiz and then one question of the week. This is Deacon's NFL Talk. All right, everyone, we're going to jump right into this one. So, since we're starting something new, we're going to start off with the main topic. And this week, this is big news as a Bengals fan. Bengals fans cannot quite rejoice yet, but we're pretty close to. The Bengals are signing Jamar Chase and T. Higgins to 4-year deals. Both will remain in Cincinnati through 2029, I believe. Yeah, 2029. This is something that needed to happen last year, and I still wish we would have gotten it done last year because can you imagine how much cheaper we would have had these guys for? I mean, Jamar agreed to a 4-year, $161 million extension. That includes $112 million guaranteed and will make $40.25 million per year. If we signed him last year, he would have been making like $35 million. He's making $40 million per year. So Jamar would have been making like $36 million. Would have had a much cheaper deal. But, I mean, he becomes the NFL's highest paid non-quarterback, I should say. And really, this doesn't come as a surprise. The question is can someone? I think Micah Parsons might actually beat this deal out because he's favored to be the next big player to get their big payday and become the highest paid non-quarterback. So I would not be surprised if that happened at all. But yeah, like I said, the Bengals, if they would have done this a lot sooner, then this would have been much cheaper and it would have opened up a window for Trey Hendrickson to come back. And that seems to be a long shot, though. I think he's going to play in Cincinnati this year. That's at least what it looks like. But yeah, I mean, this does not shock me that he's the highest paid non-quarterback. I mean, he was favored to be the highest paid non-quarterback, and here we are. It's officially happened. We're going to get to Higgins now. Higgins signed a 4-year, $115 million extension, which includes the first 2 years of his contract guaranteed. That's big for Higgins. I guess, I don't know if this is according to Higgins or not, but he said he took a discount or something. Like he said he took less money to stay in Cincinnati or something. I forget. I didn't exactly read it. I just read the title of it. But Higgins will make $28.75 million per year and becomes the NFL's highest paid wide receiver 2 in the NFL, or according to Jamar Chase, wide receiver 1A, which makes the most sense. I mean, the Bengals pretty much have 2 wide receiver 1s. Honestly, it's kind of hard for me to say that T. Higgins is wide receiver 2, even though on the depth chart he is, but he does not play like a receiver 2. The biggest question for me, though, about Higgins, like before this all happened, it was probably soon after the Super Bowl. I was like, my biggest question for T. Higgins is if he can stay healthy, and that's still my question. Like T. Higgins is 100% worth $115 million and $28.75 million per year, 1,000%, maybe potentially more, but that's when he's healthy. Like that's my thing. Because I mean, if you guys don't know, Higgins has missed 5 games last year, I believe. And, I mean, he's probably missed, like, almost 10 the past 2 years. So the biggest question is if he can stay healthy. And, yeah, that was my thing before this whole extension happened. Yeah, that was also a big question. Like, maybe the Bengals won't actually sign him to an extension because of his inability to stay healthy. And, yeah, the Patriots were a big favorite Panthers were in that conversation. I would say the Patriots and the Panthers were actually the biggest threats getting T. Higgins. But yeah, eventually it worked out, and thankfully it did. I mean, not only T. Higgins and Jamar Chase made money, Cincinnati also signed tight end Mike Gesicki to a 3-year, $25.5 million deal last week. That felt like a while ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. I'm not sure, but it was really good for the Bengals. I mean, now they have superstars locked up for Joe Burrow for the next 3 years at least, 4 years for Chase and Higgins. But the biggest question now for Cincinnati is that defense, and honestly, I'm still concerned about it. I'm really hoping that Al Golden can turn this defense around, even though we haven't really gotten anybody new aside from Oren Burks, and some other person I can't remember his name, T.J. Slayton. That's what I was gonna say. The biggest question is the Bengals defense, and I really am concerned about this defense now. We're gonna have to put up 90 points a game at some point. I am really trusting Al Golden to turn the ship around, and hopefully that this ends up going well. I feel like we do need to sign some more guys in free agency. Hopefully we draft an edge rusher in the draft, because, I mean, Hendrickson might leave or he might sign a deal next year. So I don't really know what's going to happen with the defensive side of the ball. I really hope good things are coming. Anyway, back to the Chase and Higgins deals. Chase finished 2024 with 127 catches for 1,708 yards and 17 touchdowns, while also winning the Triple Crown. He also became the 5th player to ever do it since the league merger. So, I mean, that tells you how great Jamar Chase is. 1,000% deserves all this money. As for Higgins, he caught 73 passes for 911 yards and 10 touchdowns. So, really solid year despite missing 5 games. I think it's a really solid year. He was really close to getting 1,000 yards. He was actually, 89 yards away from 1,000. So, hopefully Higgins can get back to staying healthy and getting back to putting up 1,000 yards per season. Really looking forward to next year. I mean, if you watch the press conference of Jamar and T, you can tell that T, he was just so happy. Whenever you search up T. Higgins, you almost never find a picture of him smiling. And now you're going to see a lot of him, I feel like. You just never see him smile. Maybe that's just Higgins. But, I mean, I've never seen T that happy. Right as he walked up to, the stage or whatever you want to call it, he literally sat down, clapped his hands, smiled. He looked so happy, and I'm glad he's like that. I'm glad he's locked up for 4 more years. And, yeah, it was a good week for a Bengals fan, but we're not done yet. Hopefully we can get Hendrickson into a deal. I'm not happy until that happens. So we're going to go on to the second topic, and that is the Seahawks are signing Cooper Kupp to a 3-year, $45 million contract. This is something really good for the Seahawks. After losing DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, DK went to the Seahawks. Tyler Lockett is still on the market. Shockingly, the Raiders are actually really big favorite right now. But anyway, Kupp was released by the Rams almost 2 weeks ago, and really, not a lot of people enjoyed that. I mean, not a lot of people like that. Sure, they replaced him with Devontae Adams, which I think we'll see by the end of this year if that was a good move or not, because I think it's a good move. I mean, we'll see if it was better than Cooper Kupp. I think Cooper Kupp will have a really good role on the Seahawks. I think he can really teach Jackson Smith-Njigba a lot of things. Not only that, but he'll also take a lot of weight off of his shoulders. I mean, last week we were talking about how Jackson Smith-Njigba would get thrown to the most out of anybody and have a lot of weight on his shoulders. And sure, I'm happy for Jackson. I mean, he gets the ball pretty much guaranteed every single passing play. But I feel like adding an extra guy like Cooper Kupp obviously not only helps out him, but also helps out the Seahawks as well. It became more likely that the Rams were going to move on from him after the team signed Devontae Adams. Yeah, the Cooper Kupp saga in LA was likely coming to an end. Before we even found out he was being cut, the Rams were saying that they were likely going to move on from him, and there was a lot of rumors about that. And even Matthew Stafford's wife was confused about why the Rams did this. And really, sure, it was a down year. I believe I don't remember or not, but I don't think he stayed healthy that well. I mean, his best year came in 2021. I mean, going off of that, and not only Cooper Kupp was bad, but also the Rams overall after that Super Bowl win. But I mean, Cooper Kupp, anytime you come off a year like he had in 2021, where he had 145 catches, 1,947 yards and 16 touchdowns. You expect similar production to come out the next year, and that really did not happen. That did not happen whatsoever. I think he can definitely get back to that form. We will see how he ends up with the Seahawks and how that signing turns out. I mean, this past year he recorded 67 catches for 710 yards and 6 touchdowns. So not a bad year, but not a great year either. So we'll see. Really, he'll have Sam Darnold throwing to him, and in my opinion, after this year, Sam Darnold looks better than Matthew Stafford. But as of right now, I feel like I have to say Matthew Stafford is better than Sam Darnold. Because, I mean, Sam Darnold doesn't have a Justin Jefferson or a Jordan Addison. But, I mean, the signing came after Tyler Lockett was gone and DK Metcalf went to the Steelers. So we will see how Jackson Smith-Njigba and Cooper Kupp can help fill in those shoes, fill in the void that DK and Tyler Lockett left behind. We'll see how that whole thing turns out. Hopefully it goes well for the Seahawks because it'll be an interesting year. Defense isn't terrible, but we'll see how the offense goes. I mean, they have some talent there. They have Sam Darnold, they have Cooper Kupp, they have Smith-Njigba, they have also Kenneth Walker, who I think has a really, really high ceiling. We'll see how it turns out for the Seahawks, not really overall this year, but how the offense turns around because they got a lot of new faces in there for sure. We're going on to the third topic. The Texans are signing Derek Stingley Jr. to a 3-year, $90 million deal. This is a re-signing, I should say. Really good deal by the Texans there. To retain their star corner, who came off a Pro Bowl year, actually. And not only Stingley, but LSU players this past week, not only the past week, but past few years have been getting paid. I mean, Joe Burrow, $275 million, like $55 million a year. And then you have Justin Jefferson making $35 million, Jamar Chase making $40.25 million, and Derek Stingley. Like, there's just a lot of LSU players getting paid. This past week, too. I mean, Derek Stingley and Jamar getting deals. Those are two LSU players. So, I mean, anytime you're from LSU and from that 2020 team, you should be pretty pumped to get your next deal. But Stingley becomes the NFL's highest paid non-DB in the NFL, passing J.C. Horn. But the deal includes $89 million guaranteed, which is a really, really solid deal for Stingley Jr. I mean, yeah, like I said, he passed J.C. Horn. The new deal has an average annual value of $30 million, which passed J.C. Horn's $25 million. Average annual value means per year. So I guess Derek Stingley Jr. is going to be making $30 million per year. Really, you're just dividing 90 by however many years. In our case, 3. That's how you can figure out the average annual value, unless you want to say per year. But Houston could have placed the 5th-year option on Stingley, but decided to sign him long term. The 5th-year option is really something you keep him for an extra year, and that's really pretty much what it is. I mean, there's not really anything special to it. Just keeps you for an extra year. I don't know if you can use it to sign a long-term deal or not. I'm not sure. I'll have to look that up. And yeah, this is really smart for the Texans here. I mean, I feel like coming off first team All-Pro and All-Pro honors this season, he registered 54 tackles, 18 pass deflections, and 5 interceptions. So yeah, I feel like you lock him up early until he proves you wrong again. And then you have to pay him even more money. And pay him now before the corner market goes up. J.C. Horn set the market. Stingley's keeping it going. It's going even higher now. So, yeah, it's better to get it done. It's better to get it sooner rather than later. If only the Bengals knew how to do that. But really good deal for the Texans here. We're going to go on to the next topic. The Eagles re-sign offensive tackle Lane Johnson to a 1-year deal. This is really good deal for the Eagles here. He's actually going to be making money through the next 2 years, I believe. So it's a 1-year deal, but he's going to be making a lot of money in the next few years. The Eagles will put on an extra $8 million through 2025 and 2026 and added an extra $30 million in guarantees. So, I mean, yeah, Lane Johnson is one of the best tackles in the league. There's no doubt about that. Top 10, no doubt. Maybe even arguably top 5. I believe he gave out his timeline for when retirement is a possible thing or something. I can't remember what it was, but I actually really don't know anything about it. But Johnson will receive $48 million across 2025 and 2026 and will make $25 million in 2027. So actually, the next 2 years, well, technically 3, 2025, 2026, and 2027, he's going to be making a lot of money. So, I mean, that's what you get when you're one of the best offensive tackles in the league. There's no doubt. He is coming off a Super Bowl victory where the Eagles smoked the Chiefs 40-22. The game was the game wasn't as close as what the scoreboard seemed like it was. But in 2024, Johnson did not allow a sack all year, actually, and had 1 quarterback hit and 6 pressures. So, I mean, that tells you how good Johnson is. If that doesn't tell you how good he is, I don't know. You might be crazy. Because, yeah, you heard that right. He didn't allow a single sack all year. I mean, that is an incredible stat. I mean, that's probably the best statistic I've heard all week, to be honest. But, yeah, before we go to actually, no. We're going to go on to the next topic, and it involves another Eagle. Eagles veteran defensive end Brandon Graham retires after 15 seasons in the NFL. This is something we all saw coming, especially after he supposedly had a season-ending injury. He eventually came back, thankfully, because he helped his team, lift up his team to a Super Bowl. Graham says he has no regrets after his decision. And I didn't watch the video. I didn't turn the volume up or anything. I just saw like a little, what you want to call it, a small little screen in the corner of him like in a press conference announcing his retirement. And I think without even hearing him, you can just tell he was getting emotional about it. I mean, you expect that. I mean, anytime you play the game you love and then you play it for as long as what Graham did, it's hard not to get emotional about it. But Graham, who was the longest tenured player in Eagles history, ended his career on a Super Bowl win. That's the best possible way to end your career. The best possible way to end your career is to end it with a victory in a Super Bowl. I mean, it can't get any better than that. I mean, isn't that what Tom Brady did? He ended on a Super Bowl, and then he came back and then kept playing or whatever. There's one player who did not end their career on a Super Bowl. I can't remember. It was someone who's in the league right now. I can't remember who did that, though. But, yeah, anytime – well, I mean, you can't – not just like it's your rookie season and you win a Super Bowl. Oh, I'm calling it quits. Like, go a good distance in the NFL, win your Super Bowl, and then call it a career. I feel like that's a good way to go. But his 5.5 sacks in the postseason are the most in franchise history, and also had the 3rd most sacks in franchise history with 76.5. So, yeah, I mean, he is also behind some big names, too. I mean, what's his name? Reggie something? That was one of them, I believe. Don't get mad at me if I'm wrong about that. But, yeah, great career that Brandon Graham had. Sneak peek, he actually is the retirement reaction we're going to get to in a bit. But, yeah, really good player, and happy retirement to Brandon Graham. All right, we're going to go on to the third to last. We actually have quite a bit more to go, so we might run through these quickly. Vikings are not interested in Aaron Rodgers. Sticking with J.J. McCarthy despite the trade calls. Yeah, you actually heard that right. I guess the Vikings are receiving trade calls about J.J. McCarthy. For whatever reason, I think if you're the team like asking for J.J. McCarthy, like, what are you doing? Like, are you stupid? Like, the Vikings have denied trade offers for McCarthy. And according to Tom Pelissero, the team still plans to add a veteran signal caller, but they aren't interested in Rodgers. We will see if that changes over the course of time. It'd honestly be so funny to see Aaron Rodgers go to the Vikings. Because for those of you who do not know, if Rodgers does actually end up signing with the Vikings, he'd follow suit with former teammate Brett Favre, who played for the Packers, Jets, and Vikings. It's literally the exact same cycle. And it'd be awesome to see Jordan Love, though, go to the Jets. Like that. Can you imagine that? Packers quarterbacks have a cycle, apparently. Aaron Rodgers is not real. I wouldn't say close to completing it. I would love to see him go to the Vikings, so I'd actually be dying laughing. But yeah, I mean, back to the J.J. McCarthy part. I was like, because I read the NFL.com article about this, and it said receiving trade calls about J.J. McCarthy, and I was like, there's no way that's right. Like, you're kidding me? And I actually read through it. It said, yes, the Vikings are actually receiving trade calls about J.J. McCarthy's availability. I was just like, really? Like, they're receiving trade calls about a quarterback who hasn't even played an NFL snap in the regular season. Tore his meniscus. I feel like I've said that a lot. But yeah, he hasn't played an NFL snap, a true NFL snap that isn't a preseason game. I mean, preseason can't really say much. You're playing a bunch of the third stringers. So he really hasn't played a snap yet, technically. I mean, it didn't really count either. So, he didn't even play a single snap in his rookie season, despite the preseason. So, this is technically going to be McCarthy's rookie year going into this year. And people are already trying to see his availability already, and he hasn't even played a snap yet, which is shocking to me. Not saying that he's going to be a bad player. I think he has a lot of potential, honestly. I think he can be match one of the quarterbacks in this year's class for sure at some point. But the Steelers and Giants have been linked to Rodgers. And don't take retirement out of the conversation either. I mean, the Steelers and Giants are the top teams to sign him. But also, I will add this. Rodgers did visit the Steelers yesterday. But I guess he didn't sign a deal. Not what I've heard. So that's big. But yeah, we will see what happens over the next course of the week. I think retirement is actually a legitimate option right now. We're going to go through these next ones quickly because we are going well over time. We might actually potentially going in on 21 minutes. We're going to look at some NFL potentially eyeing these new rule changes that teams have inputted the NFL about. So let's dive into this. By the way, before we get into this, though, for a rule to be approved, 24 teams must agree on it. If there's 23 teams, it does not go through. So if there's 24 or more, then it's a new rule. So starting off with number one, not in any particular order, I'm just naming off potential rule changes. Number one, the Packers want the tush-push banned. And when you hear their president and CEO complain about this, I honestly had a hard time not chuckling at this. This is Packers president and CEO. He said this: there is no skill involved, and it is almost an automatic first down on plays or of a yard or less. Honestly, I'm not even an Eagles fan. I don't really like the Eagles either. But just cry about it, dude. Cry about it. Like, stop complaining that they can do it better than everyone else. It's literally rugby. I mean, I feel like everyone says that. I mean, it is, though, if you've ever watched it. Like, I'm sick and tired of teams like talking about this. Like, the Packers actually are the first team, I'm pretty sure, that's came out and complained about it that I've heard in a while. It's just like, you come out and say, like, I want the Packers to try this next year. I want the Packers to try this and see if they can execute it as well as the Eagles did. I'm pretty sure that the Eagles ran this play against the Packers in the wild card game, and that just makes this even look even worse for their CEO or president, whatever you want to call them. But yeah, that's just funny. I just love seeing teams complain about it. I'm not even an Eagles fan, but it's just funny. All right, number two, defensive holding and illegal contact penalties. All right, this is something that the Lions put in, I believe. The Lions said they don't want an automatic first down after these penalties. So we'll see if that's a legitimate rule change. I don't know. I feel like defensive holding should at least be 5 yards. I feel like. I mean, isn't holding on offense 5-10 yards? So you could make an argument for that one being 5-10 yards. Really just depends on how close you are to the first down marker. And then illegal contact penalties, okay, you can, I would say those are maybe automatic first downs. Outside of that, I don't think defense holding. I mean, really, holding comes down to how close you are to the first down marker. If you're 15 yards out and it's defensive holding as a 10-yard penalty, okay, you're 5 yards short now. I wouldn't say that one maybe wouldn't be an automatic first down. I don't know though. I mean, I haven't really researched and how much this could affect everything. So I'm just a fan reacting to these and seeing how, just imagining in my head right as I'm speaking how this could work out. We're going to go on to the next one. Number 3, the regular season overtime rules changed, as you can imagine. The Eagles want the overtime rules changed. In the postseason, converted to the regular season. In case you didn't know, in the postseason, each team possesses the ball no matter what. I feel like this is a rule that's going to pass through unanimously. This is something we talked about last year. And I don't know if someone put this as a potential rule change, but this is something that needs to happen. It doesn't make it as confusing because like we pretty much learned like how much effective it is when it's in the regular season or when it's not in the regular season and in the postseason, because the 49ers, they deferred in overtime when it was in the Super Bowl, and they didn't know about the rules. So I mean, I feel like this is something that needs to change, and that way people like teams can oh yeah, we need to remember this, and say like in the regular season, like, oh yeah, the overtime rules, each team gets a possession, and like then you're like, well, I thought that was post and regular season. It's just kind of confusing. But yeah, I think this is something that needs to change. There's 6 rule changes, rule thingamabobs, whatever you want to call them. Number 4 is playoff seeding. The Lions want the playoff seeding based off record rather than division winners, which that's acceptable, but I think it's fine how it is, to be honest. I mean, I guess the Lions also complained about the Vikings seeding last year, even though despite them being 14-3 and being the 5 seed, which that was the NFC North was really good too. But yeah, I mean we could see this potentially happening, but I don't know. I feel like it's fine how it is, to be honest. Number 6, replay review for penalties. This is good and bad news. Some of you might be like, okay, finally it's about time. But can you just imagine how long the games would be though? They're long enough. Like, they're 4 hours. We don't need penalties taking 45 minutes. Like, I would say, like, crucial penalties potentially, but not every single penalty. I mean, I don't want games to be 6 hours long now. I mean, I don't want them to be super long. It's a great idea. Honestly, at some point in time, sometimes you want this to happen. Other times you're like, this will just take forever. Like, refs are already so slow at doing everything else that this would be such a distraction, and they'd care so hard about this. Like, yeah, let's get the game right. Oh, holding on the Chiefs. Actually, wait, nope, we're going to review that. I don't know if that made sense or not, but you get the point. All right, number 6. No, sorry. This was I read one ahead. Number 6 was replay review. Number 5 is virtual measuring. So, virtual measuring to help accurately measure yardage with technology instead of chains. This is something we needed a long time ago. The UFL does it. They're a spring league. They're poor. Soccer does it. Baseball does it. I mean, like, it's about time we actually had some technology in this. I mean, not saying we can just completely remove the chains from it, but technology will definitely help, like, keep the game going, keep the game moving, for sure. If you've watched the UFL at all, it's actually really cool. I think it's the UFL, where you can see, like, the technology just shows you, like, where the ball is and how close the ball is. Like, if you're short, you have the first down. It's really fascinating, actually, to watch that happen. It's really cool. So I hope they actually bring this in. But yeah, the NFL is going to look into changes for the new dynamic kickoff as well. I think it was a big letdown, to be honest. I mean, it's cool that you can get more kickoff return touchdowns, but how many kickers kicked it out of the end zone because of the risk of scoring touchdowns? Like, I just don't like it. We're on to the last topic. We've spent almost 30 minutes talking about NFL news, so we're going to go through these quickly. Last one. Texans extend edge rusher Danielle Hunter to a 1-year, $35.6 million contract. Really good signing for the not for the Vikings. He was on the Vikings. A really good signing for the Texans here. Hunter will make $55.1 million for the next 2 seasons, along with $54.1 million guaranteed. And Hunter becomes the league's second highest paid edge rusher in the NFL based off salary. And Hunter tallied 12 sacks in 2024 and had 23 sacks combined with the Will Anderson Jr., which ranked 3rd most between edge rushing tandems. So yeah, really good signing there for the Texans. We're gonna go on to quick hits now. This week, if I don't pull this off, this week, if I can't name all the quick hits before the timer expires, I'll be really disappointed in myself. Like, if I don't get this, shame on me, because we have 5 topics of quick hits, and if I don't get this, You guys can point and laugh at me all you want. I really don't care at all. Here we go. 5 quick hits. I'm actually going to get a drink. I'm not used to having my drink in here, so I'm going to do that before my mouth gets dry. Anyway, here we go. Starting now. Bills recently added free agents Larry Ogunjobi and Mike White. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Facing 6-game suspension for PED violation. Bills GM knew about Hoyt's pending suspension, but had not known about Ogunjobi's when Buffalo signed him. Buffalo signed Hoyt to a 3-year, $24 million deal, and Ogunjobi signed a 1-year, $8 million deal. Chargers signed guard Mekhi Becton to a 2-year, $20 million deal. The Eagles had traded for Kenyon Green, knowing Becton would likely depart from Philly. Becton allowed 5.2 pressure rate, which is 3 sacks. 49ers bring back Kyle Juszczyk. San Francisco signed him to a 2-year, $9 million deal and will make $4.5 million per year. Juszczyk was in free agency for 4 days before coming back. Vikings acquire running back Jordan Mason in exchange for a 2025 pick swap and 2026 second. Minnesota is signing him to a 2-year deal with a max value of $12 million and $7 million guaranteed. Mason recorded 789 yards, 5.2 yard average, and 3 touchdowns. Eagles signing edge rusher Azeez Ojulari. Really good signing. I wish the Bengals would have picked him up. Philadelphia signed him to a 1-year deal. Ojulari played 58% of his defensive snaps in addition to 6 sacks and 5 starts. Last one. I can take all day. Texans signed offensive tackle Ken Robinson to a 1-year, $12 million deal. The deal is worth up to $14.5 million. Houston traded for Laremy Tunsil and then found the replacement in Robinson. Robinson allowed just 7 sacks and 13 penalties in a span of 999 snaps. That is it. I finally did it. It's taken me about a month to actually beat the timer, and I finally did it, and I'm actually really proud of myself. Really happy about that. We're going to go into signings before we go way over time like we have the last 2 weeks. Actually, last 3 weeks pretty much. Signings. Well, technically we're calling this roster moves, but signings is one of the categories. We have hundreds of signings, I'll tell you that. Not hundreds, I would say at least 100. Ravens signed quarterback Cooper Rush and wide receiver Tylan Wallace. Rams signed running back Ronnie Rivers and defensive tackle Lateral Murkison, linebacker Nate Landman, and corner Akella Witherspoon. Steelers signed defensive tackle Daniel Ikwale, wide receiver Scott Miller, wide receiver Ben Skoranek, safety Juan Thornhill, Isaiah Loudermilk, defensive tackle Esezi Otomiwo, corner James Pierre. That's a lot. The Commanders by far have the most signings, so bear with me. Commanders signed defensive tackle Jalen Holmes, defensive tackle Sheldon Day, wide receiver Noah Brown, offensive tackle Foster Sorrell, defensive end Jacob Martin, linebacker Nick Bellore, corner Noah Igbinoghine, I don't know, defensive end Dietrich Wise, defensive tackle Jalen Holmes, guard Nate Herbig, defensive end Claylan Farrell, punter Tress Way, and offensive tackle Trent Scott. Yes, those were all Commanders signings. Falcons signed wide receiver Kadarrell Hodge, defensive lineman Morgan Fox, defensive lineman Taquan Graham, defensive lineman Contavious Street, corner Mike Ford, safety Jordan Fuller, wide receiver Jamal Agnew, tight end Felipe Fanks. Bills signed running back Reggie Gilliam, running back Ty Johnson, center Kendrick Green, and defensive back Dane Jackson. Bears signed wide receiver Olamide Zaccheaus, long snapper Scott Daly, offensive lineman Doug Kramer, running back Travis Honer, and wide receiver Devin Duvernay. Bengals signed linebacker Oren Burks. Lions signed offensive lineman Dan Skipper, linebacker Mitchell Agood, I don't know, running back Craig Reynolds, tight end Shane Zolstra, offensive lineman Pat O'Connor, corner Khalil Dorsey, corner Rocky Sin, and corner Avante Maddox. Texans signed corner Ronald Darby, fullback Jacob Johnson, guard Laken Tomlinson, and offensive tackle Trent Brown. Colts signed defensive tackle Neville Gallimore, corner David Long. Chiefs signed wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster, defensive lineman Marion Tupluotu, and defensive end Charles Omenihu. Dolphins signed tight end Pharaoh Brown, corner Artie Burns, punter Ryan Stonehouse, defensive tackle Benito Jones, and linebacker Willie Gay Jr. Patriots signed offensive lineman Wes Schweitzer, linebacker Clavon Chason, quarterback Josh Dobbs, center Garrett Bradbury, and linebacker Jake Gibbons. Saints signed running back Velus Jones, defensive end Jonah Williams, offensive tackle Landon Young, wide receiver Dante Pettis, and wide receiver Brandon Cooks. Jets signed wide receiver Tyler Johnson, tight end Stone Smart, linebacker Rashad Weaver, corner Chris Boyd, defensive back Isaiah Oliver, defensive tackle Derek Nottie, running back Keen Ngwangwu, and linebacker Jamin Davis. We still got a way to go, so sit back and relax. Eagles signed tight end Kyle Granson. 49ers signed defensive back Cyron Neal. Buccaneers signed offensive tackle Charlie Heck and corner Bryce Hall and linebacker Anthony Walker. Panthers signed wide receiver David Moore. Packers signed wide receiver McCole Hardman and Aaron Banks. Raiders signed corner Darnay Holmes, linebacker Christian Ellis, and defensive tackle Zach Carter. Chargers signed center Bradley Bozeman, center Andre James, defensive tackle Naquan Jones, defensive tackle Tahir Tart, linebacker Deshaun Phillips, quarterback Taylor Heineke. Vikings signed wide receiver Tim Jones, center Ryan Kelly, offensive tackle Justin Skull, linebacker Eric Wilson, corner Jeff Okuda, and wide receiver Rondale Moore. Giants signed defensive tackle Jeremiah Ledbetter, offensive line Greg Van Rotten, wide receiver Lil Jordan Humphrey, and linebacker Victor Demuke, I don't know. Broncos signed punter Matt Hack. Titans signed running back Julius Chestnut. Browns signed linebacker Devin Bush, guard Devin Jenkins, corner Tony Brown. Jaguars signed offensive lineman Fred Johnson. And Seahawks signed corner Shamar Jean Charles. That's all for signings. We're going to go to cuts. Texans cut wide receiver Kyrus Jackson, corner Anthony Everett, safety Brandon Hill, and the Vikings cut center Garrett Bradbury. Before we go, we're going to see if there is any more NFL news or any more signings. I believe, is it official that the Bengals signed Lucas Patrick? I've been monitoring that. The Bengals have officially signed guard Lucas Patrick to a 1-year deal, I believe $1 million deal. Not a bad signing. We needed a guard. We still need another one, so hopefully we can add another one. Anyway, let's see. The Cardinals signed offensive lineman Royce Newman and corner Jalen Jones. Don't know if I already got to those. The Lions signed defensive lineman Al Quadin Muhammad. Patriots, here's some cuts. The Patriots cut offensive tackle Caleb Jones, center Leckedus Smith, linebacker Curtis Jacobs, and linebacker Anthony Parker. The Seahawks signed wide receiver River Craft and linebacker John Ross, and that's about it. So, it's a good thing I brought my water in because I don't need a drink. We're going to go on to retirement reaction. It's a new segment we started last week. We actually have another one this week as well. So, Brandon Graham and his strip sack, a legendary moment in the Super Bowl. A big reason why the Eagles went on. Actually, we might go away. Anyway, a big reason why the Eagles won the Super Bowl. I'm going to play it here. And yes, we are probably going to go overtime as well. So here it is. 2nd and 2. 2:16 left on the clock. Eagles up 38-33, up by 5. Mason Graham comes right up the middle, strips it. I don't even know who picked it up. Can't even see his name. I might know him, but I just can't see his name. Brady disappointed. 2:09 left on the clock. The Patriots eventually lost this Super Bowl. And, yeah, this was honestly one of the best Super Bowls I've ever watched. Not going to lie. I think it's probably the best Super Bowl I've ever witnessed and actually, watched live. Because I didn't watch Super Bowl LI. This is the first ever Super Bowl that I watched. So, pretty cool fun fact. Was Max? No, I was about to say, 56 looked like Max Crosby, and I thought I was tripping that he was drafted to the Eagles. But no. One of the greatest moments in Mason Graham, and Brandon Graham's career. I always get him mixed up with Mason Graham and Brandon Graham for whatever reason. But yeah, what a play, and what a Super Bowl that was. Barnett, I do not know who that is. But yeah, Brandon Graham, one of the greatest Eagles players in their franchise, 1,000%. Anyway, we're going to go into the quiz before we go another 45 minutes, or 45 minutes, I should say. Another long one, unfortunately. I just have a habit of overtiming episodes. Anyway, which quarterback led the Patriots to their first Super Bowl appearance? Drew Bledsoe, Doug Flutie, Tom Brady, or Tony Eason? I did it again. I told you I'd get you this week. Last week I actually said in the episode I'll get you guys next week. Trust me. And guess what? Here we are sitting here. We did it again. Anyway, Tom Brady, 15%. Doug Flutie, 15%. Tony Eason, 31%. And Drew Bledsoe, 38%. Drew Bledsoe actually makes a lot of sense. He's like the first quarterback before Tom Brady or something. Makes 1,000% that you guys would pick that. Anyway, question of the week, 50-50. I'll put it at that. Will the Bengals sign Chase and Higgins, but will they sign Trey Hendrickson, yes or no? No, 50%, and yes, 50%. There were 20 votes. There wasn't 2 votes. 20 votes, 2-0. And, yeah, honestly, I think this is exactly how the Bengals are right now. I would say it's 50-50, honestly. I would say this offseason, I would say not quite. Maybe we'll know by the next month or so. Maybe in the next couple of weeks. But as of right now, I'm saying no. I think they'll let him play through his contract. He said he is willing to play. He's not willing to play. Or what did he say? He said something. He said Trey Hendrickson isn't willing to play nice with Bengals. So that's concerning. Very concerning. Hopefully we can get a done deal with him this offseason instead of waiting and having to pay him $50 million a deal next year. Seems like we can't pay anybody early, I guess. Anyway, that is this week's episode. If you enjoyed, hit the like, the subscribe button, and the notification bell to get notified of every single upload this channel makes. Last week was episode 49. I highly suggest you guys check that one out. Last week we talked about Josh Allen signing a historic 6-year, $330 million deal. It's 45 minutes long, so sit back, relax, and enjoy that one. This one is not as long, but it's pretty close to it. But yeah, 50 episodes on the channel. Never thought we'd get here after the channel termination of my old one. Hopefully we can get past 50s because I never made it to the 60s before. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Oh, before we go, I just thought I'd say this in here, but how's y'all's March Madness brackets going? It's that time of year again, and my bracket's already toasted. So it's just I'm not a huge college basketball guy. Overall, I'm not a big basketball guy at all. But when it's March and it's this time of year, it comes around. Oh yeah, I'm all into that stuff. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys next week for another great episode on Deacon's NFL Talk.